Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A situation offering opportunities. He worked both sides of the street. A thoroughfare, usually including sidewalks, that is lined with buildings. They walked the streets of the small town. People living or working on the same street. The whole street protested the absence of streetlights. The part of a thoroughfare between the sidewalks. The part of the thoroughfare on which vehicles travel. Be careful crossing the street. The streets of a city viewed as a depressed environment in which there is poverty and crime and prostitution and dereliction. She tried to keep her children off the street. A possibility due to a favorable combination of circumstances. The holiday gave us the opportunity to visit Washington. A possibility due to a favorable combination of circumstances. Now is your chance. Come upon, as if by accident, meet with. She chanced upon an interesting book in the bookstore the other day. Occurring or appearing or singled out by chance. A chance occurrence. The possibility of future success. Take a risk in the hope of a favorable outcome. A measure of how likely it is that some event will occur. A number expressing the ratio of favorable cases to the whole number of cases possible. If that phone call is for me, chances are it's my wife. An unknown and unpredictable phenomenon that causes an event to result one way rather than another. We ran into each other by pure chance. A risk involving danger. You take a chance when you let her drive. Be the case by chance. I chanced to meet my old friend in the street. A public road from one place to another. A surrounding or nearby region. People living near one another. A surrounding or nearby region. He always blames someone else in the immediate neighborhood. People living near one another. It is a friendly neighborhood. The approximate amount of something, usually used prepositionally as in the region of. The price is in the neighborhood of $100. An area within a city or town that has some distinctive features, especially one forming a community. An ethnic neighborhood. The area in which something exists or lives. The totality of surrounding conditions. He longed for the comfortable environment of his living room. Street that serves as a principal thoroughfare for traffic in a town. Any small town, or the people who inhabit it, generally used to represent parochialism and materialism, after a novel by Sinclair Lewis. Street lined with buildings that were originally private stables but have been remodeled as dwellings. She lives in a Chelsea mews. European strong-scented perennial herb with gray-green bitter-tasting leaves, an irritant similar to poison ivy. Sadness associated with some wrong done or some disappointment. To his rue, the error cost him the game. Feel remorse for, feel sorry for, be contrite about. French, a street or road in France. Leaves sometimes used for flavoring fruit or claret cup but should be used with great caution. Can cause irritation like poison ivy. A street intersecting a main street, usually at right angles, and continuing on both sides of it. A narrow street with walls on both sides. A street intersecting a main street and terminating there. A wide street or thoroughfare. A narrow street with walls on both sides. A lane down which a bowling ball is rolled toward pins. Street that serves as a principal thoroughfare for traffic in a town. A narrow street with walls on both sides. A street that is primarily used to gain access to the property bordering it. A street that is primarily used to gain access to the property bordering it. A wide street or thoroughfare. A line of approach. They explored every avenue they could think of. A street on which vehicular traffic can move in either of two directions. You have to look both ways crossing a two-way street. A street on which vehicular traffic is allowed to move in only one direction. Unilateral interaction. Cooperation cannot be a one-way street. An area in a city with large modern buildings that is perceived as dangerous and unpleasant. Walk consisting of a paved area for pedestrians, usually beside a street or roadway. The paved surface of a thoroughfare. Material used to pave an area. The paved surface of a thoroughfare. Material used to pave an area. The act of applying paving materials to an area. A street in Manhattan noted for cheap hotels frequented by homeless derelicts. Like a bower, leafy and shady. A bowery lane. A street in Manhattan that passes through Times Square, famous for its theaters. A major avenue in Paris famous for elegant shops and cafes. A street of Westminster in London. The British government. A street in central London where newspaper offices are situated. British journalism. A street in Manhattan that passes through Times Square, famous for its theaters.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.